screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we will start our Apex programming. Okay. So this is our first class of Salesforce development. So our today's topics: what is Salesforce development, what is Apex, and basically the question that we all have in our mind is, why do we need it? Because we have already learned Salesforce admin, and you have flows, you have everything. I mean, lot of automations in Salesforce admin. Then why we need say Apex development? So that we will discuss in today's session, right? So if any one of you have any question, you can raise your hand in between the class, or even after the class we'll have Q&A. We won't do any programming today. The actual programming will start from tomorrow. We'll give you some background, what is Apex, and all the features we have in Apex. And from tomorrow onwards, we'll write Apex programs. Okay. So let's move ahead and discuss. Give me one second. Okay. So what we will cover today: Salesforce development landscape will cover. The difference between declarative and programmatic environment in Salesforce, and where Apex fits in, right? So that will be our first topic, and that we will discuss. And the second one is what is Apex, right? So first of all, Apex is not acronym, so we don't have any full form of Apex. Apex is just a name. It is not acronym, right? So what is the definition of Apex? Its key characteristics we will discuss, how it run on Salesforce server, right? Then in third part, we will discuss why do we need Apex, right? And actual limitations on the click-only tools. In entire admin, you have learned a lot of click-only tools like flows, mainly flows, validation rule, formula fields, workflows. We'll discuss process builder. We discussed many things, right? So what all are the limitation of these tools that we can resolve using Apex? And we will discuss some of the real business scenarios, right? Okay, and Apex is declarative tools side by side. We'll compare both of them, when to use what, right? So we'll discuss that also, and where Apex lives and the dev setup. So basically, type of Apex. So you can write classes, you can write triggers. So we'll discuss all the types of Apex that you can have in your Salesforce org, right? So that we will discuss, and we will also discuss where you can write Apex code, and from our initial course, which tool we will use for writing Apex, and then later on we will switch on a different tool. So that we are going to discuss today, right? So let's start with the Salesforce development landscape, right? So in declarative programming, we used many tools like flow builder, validation rule, approval process, and this was a no-code environment. There was no code required to write a flow, to create a validation rule, to create an approval process. This is fast to build, easy to maintain, right? Admin friendly, no programming background is required in the declarative, and you can also use it for simple automation, like simple business logics, simple business problems, wherein Apex programming is basically used for more complex tasks, right? We'll discuss some live scenarios in this course, but Apex programming is used for more complex tasks. So developers will write Apex code. It is divided into two parts. One is Apex, and second one is Lightning Web Component. So first we will discuss Apex, and then later on we will switch on Lightning Web Component. There is a legacy UI environment also, so that we will also discuss. So legacy UI will also be discussed in this course. So I will show you um, how we can create a Visual Force page and how we can use it. Though we will not discuss it in detail, but at least you will know what is in Visual Force page and how you can create a Visual Force page, because Visual Force page is not in use right now. If your company has any old Visual Force page that is working, so if something you need to modify or you need to change in that one, or you need to add any feature in that one, that at least you will be aware like how you can do that. So that things we will discuss. So Apex handles complex logic that Click cannot. So there are some limitations in point and click development, like flow and validation rule, approval process. There is some limitation, but in Apex there is no limitation. You can create whatever you want. So any complex logic you can build in using Apex, right? And you will have more control on the things. You will understand it later on. What is the meaning of control here? But yeah, you will have more control on the things if you will use Apex programming. It requires programming knowledge that I will give you in this course. So we will discuss it from very basic. There is no programming language experience required for this course. So I'm not expecting from any one of you if you have any programming background or not. But if you have, that is great. I mean, it will help you to learn it easily. So Salesforce is basically related. Its syntaxes are related to Java. So if you have already worked on Java, C Sharp, or any OOPS language, it will be easy for you. But if you don't have any prior experience in any programming language, um, no problem with that, right? We will discuss it with um, from a very basic programming feature. So we will only use Apex programming when we will think that we cannot build that complex logic using declarative point and click development. Then we will use programming. Any question from here?
Nice, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, let's move ahead. Next slide. Okay, so where does Apex fit? I mean, this is the full toolbox we have in Salesforce, not only in Apex. Everything we have, either it is declarative or programming. So we have Flow Builder. So we use Flow Builder for visual automation like screen or record change or approvals, right? We already discussed it in our admin part. And then we have validation rule also. It can be a formula based or a normal validation rule for every object to just validate the input from the user, right? And then we have formula field to calculate the value that will be visible on the records, right? But and the next one is Apex. So whenever you will get any problem, first you will think that if you can build that problem using flow builder, validation rule, or formula field, or any declarative point and click development. And if you think that this cannot be built in these tools, then you will use Apex programming. And we use it for complex business logic. Then we have Lightning Web Component. It is also a programming, but it is a combination of JavaScript and HTML. It is a web standard based environment. Then we will learn HTML, CS, and JavaScript first before we will actually learn Lightning Web Component. So we need a prior knowledge of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS before we will start Lightning Web Component. So we'll go after Apex. We'll go for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript first, and then we will start Lightning Web Component. Visual Force is a legacy programming for UI framework. So everyone is aware, like there are two part of any programming. One is the front end, second one is back end, right? And in front end is divided into two part, UI and business logic layer. So UI you can build either using Visual Force page or a Lightning Web Component. So Visual Force is now a legacy UI framework that was deprecated by Salesforce, I believe, in 2015, if I'm not wrong, right? You can check it on Google, just verify it on Google. And then they introduced a new framework that was Aura framework, but then later on they changed it to Lightning Web Component. So Lightning Web Component is being used right now. So we will discuss Lightning Web Component but we will also discuss Visual Force Space, how we can create it, and the basic features of Visual Force Space, so that if something will come up in front of you, you can modify it, or at least you can understand it. Okay, so now what is Apex? So if you will talk about the definition, Apex is a strongly typed. What is the meaning of a strongly typed? Strongly typed means every data type or every variable have its own data type, right? So let's say if you are declaring a string variable, unlike Java, you have to declare string as a data type. So Apex is a strongly typed language. It follow all the concept of object-oriented programming, like OOPS concept, and it that lets developer execute flow and transaction control statement on the Salesforce platform. So it completely run on Salesforce servers, right? And it also used in Salesforce API calls, right? So in simple words, I have mentioned it in simple word. Apex is a Salesforce own programming language. So like Java, that lets you write custom code to do things that clicks only tool, flow validation rule simply cannot do, right? So whenever you will think that this problem cannot be resolved using flow or validation rule, even it is not like cannot be resolved. It is like, let's say if you are writing a flow and it is becoming more complex, then it can cause a performance issue, right? So it is always better to check. If the performance is not good, you can simply switch into Apex, right? So that as a developer, you need to take that call, or your architect will take that call. Okay. So flow, there is an example that I have mentioned, but we will discuss it later on. So flow is an automatic transmission car, right? And Apex is manual transmission car. More control, more skill needed, right? So you can understand it in this way. Key facts about Apex: it is created by Salesforce, only run on Salesforce platform. So, um, I mean, Apex is completely used by Salesforce only. No other platform can use Apex, right? So it is created by Salesforce and only run on Salesforce platform. Its syntax look like Java. So if you already aware about Java syntax, then it is very easy for you to learn it. But don't worry, if you are not aware about Java, I will teach you. Don't worry about that. It's run entirely on Salesforce servers. I mean, on cloud, not on your computer. So it is not on premises. It is basically run on Salesforce servers. Case insensitive. So it is not case sensitive. So account and account are the same. So small a, capital A, both are same. So it is a case insensitive language. So just remember that. Salesforce has 3 release every year, so it is automatically upgraded by Salesforce with every release. So if they are changing anything in Apex programming language, they generally share a release document with you all, so you can read that release document and you can understand what is going to be changed, right? So Salesforce, not only for Apex, Salesforce generally have 3 release throughout the year. So, and in every release, they change something in or increase a new feature. So you just need to read it every 3 months throughout the year. Any question till now?
Nice, sir.
Okay. Next is we discussed strongly typed. What is the meaning of strongly typed? So these are the key characteristics of Apex. Every variable must have a declared data type, like it is integer, string, or Boolean. So what is a variable? We will discuss it in detail, but just to give you a background, if you are not from a programming background, what is a variable? So computer doesn't understand your feelings, right? So if you want to perform any calculation or anything, you have to store your values in computer, right? So to store your values, that and later on those values will be used in complex calculations, you need to provide a variable in which those values will be used, right? I will tell you how it actually happen in the background in the computer, we'll discuss when we will actually discuss class and object. But right now, let's say if you want to shift your house from one place to another, right? Just to shift your house, you need uh, packers and movers, right? Because you cannot move your house by your hand, or or if you will do, then it can take time. So just to store your luggage, you need a packers and movers. Similarly, if you want to buy milk from a shop, right? And then you need a bowl or a jug or similar kind of thing, right? So for everything, to store everything, not only in programming and even in real time environment, you need a storage, and that storage should be similar to the actual entity that is needed to be stored, right? So variable is only used to store values. So it has different type based on the values that is needed to be stored. So let's say in integer you will store numbers, in a string you will store characters and words, or a sentence boolean you will store yes and no. So that we will discuss in detail. But what the meaning of a strongly typed is, every variable must have a declared data type. Okay. So we'll discuss what is compile time and runtime. So I don't want to discuss it right now. So errors are caught at compile time. Compile time means like whenever you will save your code, it will check if your code is syntactically correct or not, right? So don't worry about it. We'll discuss it in detail. And then object-oriented programming. It support class, object, inheritance, interfaces, just like Java. So code is organized and reusable. So it support all concept of oriented programming language, right? Multi-tenant aware. So Salesforce runs thousands of customer org on shared infrastructure, right? So we have already discussed in admin what is multi-tenant architecture. Multi-tenant architecture is something that is a common resource used by everybody, right? Like in our societies we have swimming pool, gym, and these are used by everyone, but based on first come first use basis, right? So that is multi-tenant aware. And data focused DML built in, so you don't have access of database in Apex. Everything, every activity like insert, update, delete, upsert are built directly into the language syntax. So insert, update, delete, upsert, everything you will do directly from Apex syntax. You will not do anything using database. So database is not accessible by you. So even the queries to get the data from database will be will be in Salesforce syntax only. Runs on Salesforce server. Unlike JavaScript, so JavaScript generally run on browser, right? Apex execute entirely in Salesforce cloud, so you never see the server. But I mean, Salesforce server is not visible, but Apex is entirely run on Salesforce cloud. Automatically upgraded, we have already discussed it. Salesforce upgrade the Apex runtime with every release. No manual patching required from developers, right? You won't do anything. Salesforce will do everything in terms of existing Apex provided by Salesforce. Any question till now? No? Then the last question that we have, why do we need Apex? Though we have already discussed it, but we'll give you some more background on it. If Flow can do so much, why learn to code at all? So we have already learned Flow, and Flow can do many things, right? And day by day, it is Salesforce want it to be more stronger. And every release, they are releasing new features on flows, right? Then why we need Apex? I have written the honest answer. Declarative tools are powerful, but every tool has a ceiling, right? When your business logic becomes too complex, too custom, or too performance sensitive, click stop being enough. And that's exactly where Apex takes over. So few examples. Complex business logic will give you live scenarios in which complex business logic you can understand what is complex business logic. Bulk data processing. So we have batch apex for this. So bulk data processing with some logic. So let's say if you want to update um, 200,000 account, and not only update, it is not a direct update. You want to check something, you want to calculate some amount based on some logic, you want to update it. So flows and other tools, other data update tools won't be enough here. So you have to write batch apex, and batch apex is exactly built for it. Custom integrations. So if you want to make a call out to any third party system and you want to integrate it, you want to send data or receive data from a third party system, you have to write apex. Performance and control. So in apex you will have more control on your business logic, and performance can also be improved, right? So these are the things that is why we need apex. Some real scenario when click aren't enough. So I have mentioned some real scenarios. So for complex business logic, so it is for multi-business logic, right? So for complex business logic, when an opportunity closes, check 5 related objects. So opportunity is a master of different objects. So you can check 5 related objects, calculate commission across 3 tiers, and update 10 field across different record, all in one transaction. So flow will struggle, and if you will actually build a flow for this requirement, hey Rohan, can you just go on mute? We'll discuss later on. Okay, so flow can technically do this, but it becomes slow. So if you will add, I mean, it is on this operation is on 5 related objects. So transaction will be very complex if you will run a flow to build this requirement, and it is very hard to debug, and it can also hit an element limit, right? So for this kind of complex logic, we generally build apex, right? Similarly, bulk data operation that we have already discussed, right? Update 50,000 account record overnight. So we should have a job that will update 50,000 account record, and it should run overnight, right? But it is not just a update. It is based on a complex calculation involving related opportunity and case data, right? So such kind of things you cannot do with flow. You can create a flow for bulk processing, but actually it will become slow, right? And it can hit number of governor limit. Then we have apex batch jobs. Those are actually built for this, right? So we will use apex batch job in such kind of requirements. And then we have third is custom call out to external system, right? And it is very important. When an order is created, we just want to call our external ERP API, and we are waiting for a response, then update Salesforce based on that response. So we have a custom object. So whatever response we are getting from our ERP system, we are updating it into our custom object, right? So Flow will actually struggle for complex HTTP call out, and you cannot build a retry logic, headers, and JSON parsing. For everything you need Apex, right? So that is why Flow will fail here. We need for complex business logic call out, you will always need Apex, right? Advanced validation logic. So we know, like, we have validation rule for click and point and click development, but sometimes you have advanced validation in your data, right? So let's say you want to prevent duplicate opportunity using fuzzy matching logic across account name, address, and industry. No, not just exact field matches, right? So Flow will struggle here. Even validation rule will struggle here, because in validation you only support simple formulas, but Apex has no limitation. It can implement custom matching algorithm, whatever you want, right? So this is why we actually need Apex. I hope you now understand, if we have point and click development, then why we need Apex. Any question from here? Okay, taking it as no. Let's move ahead. Okay, why Apex exists? The multi-tenancy problem. So we already discussed Salesforce is a multi-tenant platform. The meaning of this is one shared set of server run code for thousands of different companies, right? At the same time, I gave you an example of a society, right, in which we have a gym, and it is a small gym used by entire society. So whenever you need a treadmill, you if somebody is already running on a treadmill, you have to wait till the time the treadmill will be free. So similarly, Salesforce server is used by every single org in the entire world, right? So if your things need to be run on server, it has to wait till the time server will be free for your thing, and it will be in a queue basis. So if your thing is actually running, it has to wait in the queue, right? So and your code should be in that manner that it won't create problem for the server, right? So there are some governor limits applied by Salesforce, so your code must follow those rules provided by Salesforce, and then only your code will actually run without any problem on Salesforce server, right? So uh, we'll give you some example of governor limit, but we will discuss these in very detail throughout our course. So there is a limit called 100 SOCL queries per transaction. So what is SOCL? Salesforce Object Query Language. So it is a database language that will be used to get the data from database. Salesforce database is not visible to any developer, so we need a query that will be used in Apex only. And whenever your Apex code will run, it will fetch the data from database and will give you the data as a result, right? But you can only use, or even a single query you can only run 100 times throughout a transaction. So what is a transaction? um, Whenever a user will give an input from the screen and will submit, until the time he will get a success message, whatever is happening in the background, that will be counted as a transaction. So we will see what all are the things we generally have in a simple transaction. We'll discuss in our second class. Okay, we have DML statements. So if you are doing any insert, update, delete, upsert operations, you can have max 150 DML statement per transaction, right? So that is also a limit. 10 CPU time. I mean, CPU time is actually, if you are using more complex Apex calculations, then CPU time will be calculated based on that, and there are some limit for that also. Heap size, basically, if you are storing some data or a value in the variable, that will actually increase the heap size. So there is a 6 MB heap size in Salesforce. So we need to respect of that also. So these are the common governor limits we have, and we have to, as it Salesforce developer, we have to respect these governor limits. And whenever we are writing Apex code, we should write our Apex code in such a way that these governor limits should be respected. So I will teach you how you can respect these kind of governor limit in your code. We'll learn the bulkification of our code, so these won't hit. And if your code is actually hitting these governor limits, then how you can optimize your code so that these error won't come. So we'll discuss these in detail throughout our course, right? Okay, so now we will discuss what is the skill required. So in declarative, there is no skill required. It is point and click, you can learn. But in Apex, you need programming knowledge required, right? And that is why we all are here. So we'll learn programming you know in this course, right? Speed to build, fast for simple logic, but if you are writing Apex, it can be slower. But on it will run faster at scale, right? Complex logic, very limited in declarative, but in Apex it is unlimited. I mean, you will have full control on complex logic. Whatever you have in your mind, you can write in Apex, right? Bulk data, let's say if you have 100,000 of record, it the declarative programming will struggle here, but we have built-in feature for bulk data processing in Apex, right? External system call, basic HTTP call out, you can use in Flow, but if you want full control on header, auth, auth flows, retries, JSON parsing, then you need to use Apex. Maintenance, sorry, then easy for admin to update. So declarative is, I mean, there is no programming knowledge required to update a flow, but for develop, it is required a developer and a version controlling for maintenance. Testing, manual testing only, but Apex is required automated unit test, and we have test classes that required minimum 75% of code coverage. I know, I mean, you won't understand what is code coverage right now, so we will discuss it later on what is code coverage, but uh, without testing you cannot deploy a single line of code in Salesforce production environment. So that is needed. Best use cases for standard business automation, you can use declarative, but whenever you will think that this requirement is complex and it needs high performance and more control on the things, then you will always write Apex. Where does Apex code live? Right, and it is an important thing. So these are the type of things that you will create whenever you will write Apex code, right? Apart from this, nothing you will create. So in all of these 6 things you will write Apex code only. These are just the names, and those will execute in Salesforce environment, but your code will exist in these 6 things only. So first we will write Apex classes. These are the reusable blocks of logic in which we will have method, variables, constructors, each and everything, and entire oops concept we will learn in Apex classes. Then we have Apex triggers. So it is in higher version of flows. I mean, Apex triggers will only run on DML operations. If you have insert, update, delete, so you can write Apex code that will run on these operations, right? You can see here code that automatically runs before after a record is inserted, updated, or deleted in Salesforce database. Then we will have batch Apex that I have discussed with you. These are just to process millions of record in batches in Salesforce. So you can write your complex logic, you can run your data or update your data in simple batches, right? So batch Apex is also a type in which you will write Apex code. Then we have Queueable Apex. We'll discuss it later on. So if you want to run your code asynchronously, then we will create Queueable Apex. Queueable Apex is also we'll we will also write future methods. So we'll discuss future method also before Queueable Apex. Future method is a actually Queueable is a upgraded version of future method. So future method was introduced earlier before Queueable Apex. Queueable Apex is actually solving some of the problem those are faced by future methods, right? And then we have scheduled Apex. If you want to run any Apex code on a particular time, then we will use schedule Apex and Apex test classes. And Apex test classes are the ones that I have discussed just before this slide, in which you need 75% of code coverage. So if you are writing any Apex code, we need to test that Apex code using Apex test classes. Without that, you cannot deploy any Apex code in Salesforce environment. So these are the 6 things that you will create using Apex, and we will understand or we will learn the use case of each one of these. We will create some live scenarios by using each of these, and I will use small project at the end of each of these topics. Okay, where we will write Apex. So initial part of our course, we will use developer console for Apex programming. So as you can see here, there is no installation needed for developer console. It is a built-in Salesforce environment in which you can write code. It is very useful for quick script and debugging. It include execute anonymous window in which you can paste your code and you can check if that code is actually running fine or not. You can view your debug logs, like you can debug your code easily using developer console, and it is very useful for beginners for initial sessions. Later on, we will switch to VS Code. VS Code is another environment that you need to install on your system. You can connect that with Salesforce environment, and you can write code in VS Code, and it has some Salesforce extensions that we need to download. So we'll discuss that on later on, right? I don't want to go deep in Salesforce CLI or Git right now because you will not be able to understand it. Okay, so you can see first code here. I just want to show you right now because this is the last slide of today. So don't worry about if you're not understanding it line by line. I just want to show it. So you can see here the first is public. Public means this Apex class can be used anywhere in the Salesforce org, right? In your org. I mean, class is actually used to create class. It's a syntax of class and the class name that you will use. These are the scopes. So your class is starting from here, ending from here, and then we have methods, constructor inside the class. So what this class is doing actually, you can see here in the right side what this code does. Takes a list of account record, bulk save. I mean, it is a bulkify code, could be 1 or 10,000. Loop through every single account one by one. We are just looping all the accounts one by one. Check if the revenue is over $1 million. We are checking if the revenue is over $1 million, and set the type field based on that logic. So if it is greater than $1 million, we are just setting it enterprise. If not, then we are setting it standard, and we are updating all the record back to Salesforce in one database call. So this is an update call that is actually updating the record in database. So don't worry, I just want to show you some code so you will get a feeling of code in first class of development. But don't worry about it. We'll discuss it in detail later on. So question to remember from day one: what is Apex? A strongly typed OOPS programming language built by Salesforce that run on Salesforce on server, right? So this is Apex, and then why not just use Flow for everything? Flow hits limit with complex logic. Bulk processing and custom integration, Apex has no such ceiling, right? What are governor limits? It is a very useful question, can be asked in interviews. Platform and performance limits. So platform enforced some limits like 100 SOCL queries transaction per transaction that keeps Salesforce fair and fast for all customers, as it is a multi-tenant environment, right? Is Apex case sensitive? No, Apex is case insensitive. Account and account refer to the same thing. Where does Apex code execute? Entirely on Salesforce server in the cloud, never on the user browser or your computer. What's required before deploying Apex to production? So we discuss Apex test classes, minimum 75% of code coverage from Apex test class. This is a mandatory, not optional feature from Salesforce. We will discuss what is Apex test classes later on. But for now, you can simply understand every Apex code that need to be deployed in a live environment is actually required 75% of code coverage. So a recap of our session one, we discussed about development landscape, a declarative flow click with programmatic Apex code. Apex is Salesforce own OOPS language. Every tool has a ceiling. Apex remove that ceiling, right? What is Apex? Strongly typed, runs on Salesforce server, built for multi-tenancy, respect governor limit, automatically upgrade with every release, right? So Salesforce has 3 releases throughout the year. So like it has summer, winter releases every time throughout the year. Why we need it? Complex multi-object business logic, true bulk processing at a scale, custom integration, and advanced validation. Tomorrow we will discuss about, will not install Apex code or Salesforce CLI tomorrow. We'll first run our code in developer console, and later in the middle of our course we will discuss VS Code, probably before our LWC classes, right? We will discuss VS Code and Salesforce CLI, but we will write our Apex class tomorrow. We will discuss what is a variable, what is data type, what all are the data types we have in Salesforce. We'll discuss tomorrow, right? That's all for today. Any question from anyone?
Nice, sir.
Great. I will share this PPT with you guys. if there is any question, you can ping me one-on-one or on group, or you can ask before our next class. So our next class will be on Thursday. We'll share the timing, either it is 9 or 9:30. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.